It's Marcor! This is a part in a series where I talk about my thoughts on Sonic games. Here's the full list so you're not confused. Time for Sonic and the Secret Rings. I have a bit of explaining to do with why I included this game and its sequel over some others in this list, so give me a second, alright? For starters, it's simply a lot easier for me to record these games compared to the Advanced Trilogy or the Rush games for instance, as these are on an actual console. I'm not attempting to discount those other games, I just felt like going over these ones before those, alright? I also like having a perfect 20 games on this list, and there's a lot to talk about with these storybook games, so yeah. Sonic and the Secret Rings is an unfortunate game, to say the least. It's one of those games where I wouldn't ever want to play it again, at least for a good while, but I look back on my time with it pretty fondly. It was hit with similar circumstances to Sonic 06, mainly because it was made thanks to a Wii port of that game being impossible. So there's a lot wrong with this title, but there's also stuff here which it does right. What are those things? Well, let's turn on the game to find out. Damn, that's a cool song, hope it's not used too much. Anyways, it's time to get into Sonic and the Secret Rings. So this game was released early on into the Wii's life, right? You know what that means. Sonic Team made everything they possibly could use motion controls. From homing attacking, to swinging on ropes, even down to basic movement, requires the use of tilting the Wii Remote in various ways. This alone is kind of disastrous to the entire game, as performing precise movements is basically impossible, thanks to the fact that you are constantly moving forward unless you hold down 1 or tilt the remote backwards. When you're going in a straight line, it does work just fine, but a lot of missions in this game require the use of precise movement, so it's a problem that persists throughout a lot of the game. Even the actions which use buttons have huge asterisks to them which make them awkward, like jumping. You don't jump the moment you press the button like every other game in existence. You jump when you let go of the button. This is mainly for the braking action when you're going at high speeds, but what about when I want to jump after a big run-up? We already have a stop button with 1, so what's the point of this decision? It's not the most annoying thing on its own, but paired with the awkward motion controls, make this game the worst controlling game in the franchise. For a lot of people, this seems to be where the review would end, as this is a huge deal breaker for a lot of people. I can totally understand why people would consider this game to be the worst in the franchise due to controllability alone. However, I must consider every aspect of the game to truly rank it among the others in my opinion. Firstly, this game follows a mission structure, where there is one main level you beat in an area, then there are snippets of that level with a certain clear condition you must beat. Oh, there's that song again from the Wii menu. Okay, bit of a strange place to use it, but it shouldn't be that bad. For example, in the first main area of the game, Sand Oasis, you play a decently long beginning level which is pretty fun. After that, you have to play a selection of smaller bits of that level with different win conditions, like not getting killed, or not breaking any jars. I don't think this is a terrible way of panning out the runtime, as it makes you focus on aspects of the game that you wouldn't have in the main level. Some are better than others, of course, but I don't think the level design here is all that bad. It's the same as Sonic 06, where that game has absolutely killer level design, but the controls and lack of score or speedrunning potential make the game not as good as it should be. When you're speedrunning through the levels, basking in the creative environments, performing tons of actions quickly, this game is pretty damn fun. It's when you're required to slow down and move to certain locations where it becomes especially annoying. It's sorta difficult to explain which levels are better than the others in this game, so I'll focus on the big levels and what they focus on. This will be more brief than my usual level talk, so let's begin. Lost Prologue is just a collection of tutorials with a few tolerable levels at the end. You have to do 8 individual tutorials on how to do one individual move each before you can move on, which means you hear this a lot. Okay, I'm starting to draw the line of this song here, it's getting annoying. So yeah, Lost Prologue is just stupid and shows off exactly how to not do a tutorial perfectly. Thankfully, Sand Oasis is pretty solid. There are some memorable sections, like the U-turn on the walls of the building and homing attacking across the water. There's quite a bit of automation here compared to the other levels, with these long stretches of land where all you have to do is steer Sonic to certain areas, but overall, there's a lot less that can go wrong here compared to other sections. Wait, there's boss fights in this game? Yeah, I constantly forget about the boss fights in this game because they're all pretty much nothing special outside of a select few. This funny Scorpion Man is a bit difficult to figure out, but it's just fine once you do. Next level. So you know how this game is themed around the tales of the Arabian Nights? Well, Dinosaur Jungle is a bit of a strange level choice, isn't it? This level features our first significant gameplay gimmick of riding on these logs in the water, and it's fine, it's whatever. Honestly, I mainly remember this level for its theming and the missions that suck, which is unfortunate. There's this one mission where you have to carry eggs to certain nests, and it's really boring and annoying to do. At least this section with the dinosaur munching at you behind the rocks formations is cool, otherwise this is a pretty uneventful level with not much going on that's worth mentioning. Evil Foundry, now this is a conflicting level. I mainly remember this one due to its aesthetic and its music, which are both absolute heat. That first level you play much earlier on in the game compared to the others, which are late game for story reasons, is also one of the better ones in this game. Otherwise, I don't really remember anything else that happened here outside of the boss fight, so let's talk about it. This one's not too bad, you've got to hit these buttons on the big guy's hands to reach his head, repeat a few times until he's down. Not anything groundbreaking, but at least it's not infuriating. Levitated Ruin is not fun. The wind mechanic is really annoying, and there's nothing that sticks out as good to me. The 2D sections require precise movements which, as mentioned before, are hard as nails to do. The automated sections are visually quite nice, but last forever and barely have anything to do on them, and the missions mostly suck. There's this one part with these circle things that shoot you out far depending on when you shake the Wiimote, and it's so inconsistent and annoying. This is the one level where all the hate is completely justified. It straight up sucks. At least Pirate Storm picks up the slack that Levitated Ruin had, as it's another solid theme. The theming isn't exactly right again, like Dinosaur Jungle, but at least there are some cool moments here, like getting shot out of a cannon and running along the ships. There are some unbearably tedious missions here, yes, but the good ones outweighed the bad ones in my opinion. There's another boss here which is very similar to the one from Sand Oasis, so there's not much to say here other than it's funny when you tug on the guy's horns. Solid level. Skeleton Dome is a level that also has some really annoying moments, like this big room which is an ass to navigate on a certain mission, and these teleporters which lead to some annoying as hell runes. However, at this point in the game, you're probably used to the bullshit it can throw at you, so I just feel nothing towards these as opposed to Levitated Ruin, which I feel hatred towards. There's this funny hand which you murder though, which is funny, I guess. One of the weaker levels in this game. Finally, Night Palace has some of the best and worst missions in the game. The main mission is pretty solid with some pretty fun areas around the walls and floors and stuff. However, the further you go, the more annoying missions rear their ugly heads, like this one where the main room rotates every time you re-enter it. When it's upside down, it takes everything you've got to attempt to find the solution, and it sucks! At least the bosses are decent. The first final boss follows the same stuff as before, learn the attacks and counter when you can. Probably the best fight design-wise. The second final boss, when you get all the secret rings, is weird. Okay, that's it. Why couldn't they just at least compose one new song for the goddamn menus, or keep it the one on the title? I don't want to hear the final boss theme whilst I'm choosing my damn missions, man. This boss requires a lot of shaking the Wii Remote to gather enough power to attack Alf Layla wa Layla, and as long as you figure out that pressing 2 can help you, you can probably have a better time than I did. Oh yeah, there's some mechanics I completely forgot to mention, so let's quickly go over them. Speed Break and Time Break use this meter on the side of the screen that allow you to boost quickly through a level and slow down time respectively. Time Break is basically useless, and Speed Break can be nice to speed up automation. You need to use Speed Break in this fight to be able to counter the big ball that Bro throws at you. It's cool and kinda fun once you do it. Overall, Night Palace reaches the higher highs and lowest lows of this game, placing it around the middle of the levels in terms of quality. That is all of the levels talked about, but there's one major gameplay thing I've neglected to mention up until now: leveling up. To make the game function, you need to level up to unlock skills which you can equip onto your ring, which makes the game actually tolerable. Some of my favourites are of course the ones which naturally increase your speed, and the ones which give you a speed boost after landing from a jump cancel. Now, is it a good thing that you need to play the game for a good amount to be able to unlock these fun movement options instead of naturally being able to have fun? Not really, but I'm glad that the game does get more fun the further you go in thanks to these skills, as opposed to getting worse. Overall, the gameplay of Secret Rings ranges from kinda fun to insufferable, from 6 out of 10 to 2 out of 10. This is one of the many reasons as to why I'm conflicted on this game, as I'll actually be having fun one minute, and then the next the Wii Remote will be in my ass. However, I do think the bad outweighs the good here unfortunately, which is one of the key reasons why I placed this game so low on my list. The combination of annoying motion controls with some levels being extremely lackluster and others being pretty good at best, make this game unfortunately one I cannot recommend you play, unless you're interested in seeing a pretty cool story. The story of this game is not going to blow you away or anything, but it is definitely something I look forward to whenever revisiting this title. To summarize, Sonic picks up this ring which holds Shara, the genie of the ring, who explains that the evil Erazor Djinn is stealing the power of the Arabian Nights stories, which will allow him to take over the real world. Obviously, this isn't ideal, so Sonic decides to help out Shara by collecting the 7 world rings, which each represent a different emotion: prayers, sadness, rage, hatred, joy, pleasure, and wishes, to stop him. On their first encounter with the Erazor Djinn, he shoots Sonic with a judgment arrow, which means that they only got a day to collect the world rings before he fucking dies. As I said before, this story is pretty basic, with simple characters and an even simpler villain, but what truly elevates this story for me is the characterization of Sonic and Shara. Genuinely, I think this is one of the best dynamics we've gotten in the entire franchise. It's right up there with Sonic and Chip. Albeit Chip does have the better scene, but I love how Sonic is just constantly excited to do stuff and takes risks all the time, whilst Shara is much more level-headed and tries to take things more seriously. However, they always leave room for these calmer moments between the two, such as when Sonic cheers up Shara after self-deprecating for a bit. Hearing them interact throughout the levels is super great too. I wish a relationship like this was done once again. One of my favourite moments, however, has to be the cutscene before the final boss, where Shara is forced to give the Erazor Djinn the world rings you collected. However, Sonic uses the power of his ring to make Shara do what she thinks is right, but it's too late. Erazor Djinn has the world rings, and he offers up Sonic as a sacrifice to gain control of them, but Shara swoops in to save him in time, killing her. Erazor Djinn becomes Alf Layla Walayla, the Arabian Nights themselves, and Sonic is pissed. He killed Shara, someone he cared so much about, so the anger is 100% justified. Because of this anger, the world rings of sadness, rage, and hatred get absorbed by Sonic, allowing him to become... We've got to stop him! Shara! Dark Spine Sonic. Let me your power! Also, Dark Spine Sonic literally has the werehog's voice, and it's so damn jarring hearing it from somewhere else.
If this is your world, then it's a world that I don't want any part of. I'm Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. And you are?
I love that scene, for perfectly showing Shara's character growth to giving Sonic a sick new form that should at least be referenced here and there, man, like, come on! Anyways, I should also quickly mention the presentation of the story in this game, as it's one of the most fun and creative to watch. There's the usual 3D CGI cutscenes we've seen in many Sonic games from this era, but most of the story is told via these 2D animated cutscenes with still frames, almost like how a comic book dub works. It's super cool seeing these in action, and there's some pretty funny expressions the illustrator just snuck in here and there. I don't see this as a compromise, I just see it as a different, unique way of presenting the story, and I love it. Anyways, in the final cutscene of the game, and one of the sickest in the franchise, Sonic brandishes the lamp with which Erazor Djinn can be controlled by to force him to grant Sonic 3 wishes.
Huh. My first wish.
Bring Shara back to life.
My second wish.
Bring back the stories of the Arabian Nights.
My third wish. Erazor Djinn, you shall live out the rest of time trapped inside your lamp as you were in days of old!
Sonic is such a badass here, literally shooting Erazor Djinn with the lamp and ending his reign in the coolest way.
I told you, I'm not a rat! I'm a hedgehog!
I especially love how out of all the things Sonic would have wished for first, he wished for Shara's resurrection. That was his highest priority, which truly shows how much he grew to care about her throughout the game. Finally, Sonic asks Shara to make one more wish, which is for a mountain of handkerchiefs, mirroring the first wish he asked of Shara at the beginning of the game. This is his reasoning.
Just let yourself cry, as much as you need to. You'll have plenty of handkerchiefs to help you through it.
Now, I know what that may sound like, but I promise you, Sonic did not intend to be an asshole here. He means that crying after everything that's happened is okay, and that she needs a moment to process everything and realize that it's over. If anything, this is one of Sonic's most heartfelt moments if looked at in the right way, and that's why this game's story is great. It's not because of the actual content or anything, it's how the characters themselves react to what's happening and how their dynamics change the events in unique ways. I'd highly recommend you watch a cutscene compilation or something to experience this game. It may not blow you away, but it's shockingly investing for a supposed spin-off. On to the final section.
Every single drop of all you got. Every single drop of all you got.
Unlike the other games, this miscellaneous section will be short and sweet, mainly because there's not a ton else I can say that hasn't already been said. That's why the title card only mentioned the music, as it's really the only thing left I haven't talked about. I guess there's the multiplayer minigame things, but have you ever seen anyone talk about those? Exactly. The music of this game is pretty sweet. Most of the level themes have lyrics to them, which definitely makes them a whole lot more interesting than your average level theme in this franchise, but because of the extremely small amount of levels, I have to say that this game has a pretty lackluster OST. I personally feel like a balance between quantity and quality must be reached to make a soundtrack good, so having a few really good and catchy songs compared to a whole bunch of decent ones isn't a flattering look in my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want, but that's why I think this game houses one of the weaker soundtracks in the franchise, even if I do love the songs featured here, such as Let the Speed Mended is catchy as all hell, fitting the first level fantastically. Did you ever watch the YouTuber Kobanami456 from forever ago? Probably not if you're under the age of 12, but his intro actually featured this cool song from Sonic and the Secret Ring that's called The Palace That Was Found, and man was it a good choice. It was so surreal hearing a song I heard a small snippet of when I was younger so many years later, but it's definitely the best song from the game. Have a listen. How it started is a pretty damn catchy boss theme with some great moments. Unawakening Float fits the final level theme amazingly, setting up this mysterious palace incredibly. It Has Come to This is surprisingly great. I don't know what I expected out of the song, but it's really fun and fits the fight perfectly. Finally, I'm not going to shower you with even more 7 rings in hand than you've already gotten in this video, because I've already gone over my problem with it. I really like listening to it, yes, but it plays so often and repeats the same sections throughout the game to the point of making you go insane. Instead, I want to quickly mention how, if I don't talk about a song in one of these videos, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't like it. I mean, I missed out on great songs like Believe in Myself and Lazy Days Living in Paradise from Adventure 1 in my video on that game, because I didn't want to elongate those videos more than they already are. I sorta did that with CD, but I'm okay with that, as that's one of my favorite OSTs in gaming history, so yeah. That's about everything I have to say about this game, so let's end this. Sonic and the Secret Rings is a game I can't bring myself to despise. Its biggest problem is the controls, and whilst they do make the game significantly worse than if they were good, the other aspects of the game are good enough to make me think fondly of it. Thankfully, there is a project in the works called Project Reignition, which basically gives the game the Project 06 treatment, and it's genuinely super fun. You can play up to Evil Foundry at the point of running the script, and I'll leave a link to it in the description. They also made new remixes of the songs to make the missions feel different, and they're really good. That's enough about that version though, as this video is about the original game. And as I've said, I hate to hate this game, but I love to love it. See you in the next one, which will be a little different than the previous episodes. Goodbye.